Almost all your taxes actually don't go to funding military bases on foreign soil, regardless of how catchy a song is. See, the federal government has to put out a bill every year that they vote on, which has a breakdown of what we spend our federal budget on. This is mandatory spending. The largest chunk is Social Security at 21%. But ignoring that, Medicare, Medicaid, and income security also make up the largest chunk. That right there in the discretionary spending is the defense bill, and that makes up 13%. 13% isn't almost all, and 30% of that 13 is just payroll, which means that 9% of the federal budget is going to buying more equipment. And an even smaller percentage of that is going to maintaining military bases on foreign soil. Here it is broken down by percents. Before I go on, I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that the military shouldn't be audited or have less of our federal spending, but I can't stand when people lie or misrepresent data. You could point out that America spends 40% of the world's defense spending. We have 11 of the world's 21 aircraft carriers. We spend more than the next 10 countries combined. Those are all true things. Why not use those as your argument? Even if you add in veteran benefits and services, which are going to maintaining our VAs and keeping disabled veterans like myself and your grandfather alive, it still would bring it up to 18%, which is less than we spend on Social Security. But hey, that's just the federal government and the bills they vote on every year. What does the War Resisters League think, with their graph estimating 2025? Weirdly not using trillions and putting thousands of billions. Well, they've added in everything that they think is the military, including things like NASA. Quite frankly, I don't think when people are complaining about the military, they're talking about NASA. But that brings them up to 21%, which is about what we spend on Social Security. And they're also estimating that past military, including things like veterans and the VA, they include our federal interest here, which they're arguing 80% or so is past wars. But even if you take all that and put that together, as they've done here, most of your spending goes to human resources and infrastructure. This is the only graph I could find that lends credence to the idea that almost all your taxes go to military spending, what they've called militarism, that they estimate at $1.14 trillion. But what they've done, if you read the rest of it, is they've left out Social Security, which is $1.4 trillion. So yeah, if you ignore what we spend most of our money on and lump a bunch of stuff in with the defense bill to call it militarism, I guess it looks pretty convincing. You can criticize stuff without using misleading information. And if you think the United States does not spend any money on its citizens, then you've been taken in by something called propaganda. Because if you go by total net social spending, the United States ranks second, only behind France. But that's only if you add in all the different stuff that you do for public services. If you're just going as public social spending, the United States comes in 21st. It's real easy to cherry pick data that makes your case, huh? Anyway, the United States isn't perfect, but it is not the flaming hellscape that social media would have you believe. We certainly spend too much money on our military, but it is not, in any sense of the word, almost all your taxes. And even if it were, it's not going to foreign soil. It's going to R&D and building tanks and shit. You have any idea how much one of our jets costs? It's ludicrous. Again, 11 of the world's 21 aircraft carriers. Do you consider an aircraft carrier a base on foreign soil, considering it's a floating city? Remember that propaganda goes both ways. Anyway, I still think we're the greatest country on earth based on absolutely nothing but vibes. USA! USA!